Patrick Brown, first of all, thanks for taking time to speak with me tonight. I do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Look, here we are in this, what we call the persuasion phase, and I wonder what that means for you with the inability to get at some of the preliminary membership lists and so on. So what are you doing right now to try and drill down on support, build support as the leadership contest continues?
Well, we're in a great position in the sense that we signed up a massive amount of new members, and so we're getting organized with the memberships that we signed up. We've got the existing membership list that we're now approaching, and so that takes a lot of time. Obviously, we're eager to see the complete list, and it's unfortunate that one of the leadership campaigns is refusing to have that list released, but there's certainly no shortage of work to do. Today, I was speaking to Conservative Party members in Hamilton and London, and I'm getting out across the country to meet as many fellow Conservatives as possible to talk about my plan to build a modern, inclusive, multicultural, multi-faith Conservative Party that can win in every corner of the country.
All right, you alluded to the leadership campaign of Mr. Poilievre. I want to ask you, look, this is starting to feel like all-out war between you and Pierre Poilievre, and it just seems to be getting nastier and nastier on social media. Here's what Pierre Poilievre has been tweeting out today. Patrick Brown is drowning in scandal. He had to lie to cover up his poor membership sales. He has lost 3 of his 4 caucus supporters, including his national campaign chair. He's in free fall. How do you respond to that?
Well, it certainly doesn't sound like a confident frontrunner. He's telling everyone that he's confident he's going to win this. That scorched earth approach, really speaks to a desperate campaign. If they were confident, they wouldn't be really so worried about my campaign. And the reality is we're confident in our membership sales, and I think that's why he is concerned. And frankly, I think this is a distraction from the scandal that happened this week. He recommended to Canadians that they invest in Bitcoin as a means to avoid inflation, and Bitcoin has been in free fall. His cryptocurrency policies have been a disaster, and so Pierre Poilievre is an expert. He's very clever at communications and trying to distract the public. He doesn't want to be talking about the Bitcoin crisis this week because it's embarrassing.
Okay.
The economy used to be the strongest card for the Conservatives, and he is ruining our economic credentials based on the preposterous positions that he took recommending Bitcoin to Canadians.
He did underscore here the departure of MP Michelle Rempel-Garner as your campaign co-chair. She's gone to consider a run for the leadership of the United Conservative Party in Alberta. 2 other caucus supporters have already left your campaign to join Mr. Poilievre. So what do those departures say about the health of your campaign?
Well, first of all, I'd say Michelle Rempel is running for the leadership of the Alberta Conservative Party. I wish her well. She remains a supporter of my campaign and a friend. And of course, if someone has an opportunity to serve at a higher level, you're going to wish them well. And obviously, the resignation of Premier Jason Kenney created an opportunity. And I think the fact that one of my supporters is being approach to run for that position speaks to the caliber of supporters we have on my campaign. And I continue to be upbeat and encouraged. I think we've got a great path to victory in this leadership campaign. We just need to make sure that everyone we signed up, we get out to vote.
Okay. There's also a story, Brampton City Councillors, some of them saying you've been using city staff on your leadership campaign. What do you say to that?
Well, that wasn't Brampton City Councillors. It was a Rebel Media report. And obviously, I have been very critical of Rebel Media. I don't consider them media. I think they are activists that push an extreme right-wing agenda. And we haven't used any city resources during this campaign. I've actually set a higher standard that I hope the Poilievre campaign will follow. I've been donating my own salary to charity during this leadership campaign to our hospital foundation, to Humanity First, and to Kelsa Aid, while Pierre Poilievre continues to take his federal paycheck in, despite the fact that he's not attending to his work in Parliament and he's busy on a leadership campaign. And so I made this challenge 3 months ago that the leadership campaigns should not be collecting a taxpayer salary during this leadership campaign. And I hope that he will consider my challenge and follow my example of not using any taxpayer resources during this leadership.
The party is, though, investigating, again, allegations from the Poilievre campaign that your campaign offered to reimburse people who bought memberships to support you. The party's now investigating that. What are they going to find?
Well, we certainly didn't support any practice like that, nor did would we ever. And so I think these are distraction tactics. There was a huge story this week about the crisis in Bitcoin, and I think it's very peculiar that there's these distraction techniques of the Poilievre campaign, and frankly, I think it speaks to the fact they're nervous about their ability to get out to vote some of the members they signed up.
Do you know if anybody working on your campaign was offering to reimburse the purchase price of memberships taken out by people who support you?
Absolutely not. That's not a practice we would ever condone or support.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I've been wondering since the campaign sort of got to where it's at and some of the nastiness. You and Pierre Poilievre sat in the same Conservative caucus for a decade here in Ottawa. Why is there so much bad blood between you?
Well, I just disagree with his politics. He's taken positions that I fundamentally don't agree with. And for me, a modern Conservative Party is inclusive, and I feel that he is catering to some of the darker elements on the internet in an attempt to get support. He's taken positions that I believe are on the wrong side of history. A great example would be Islamophobia, where he refused, even after the Quebec City terrorist attack, to condemn Islamophobia. His vote in the House of Commons against condemning hate against Muslim Canadians was wrong. His press conference on trying to ban the niqab, I thought, was trying to prey upon the insecurity of Canadians against each other. I think it's the responsibility of public servants to bring Canadians together, to fight hate, to push back against intolerance. And, unfortunately, that's not been the nature of his campaign. And certainly you see that in the vernacular that we hear from people like Pat King. And I don't want to see the type of polarization we've seen elsewhere in Canada. I want to build a Conservative Party that very clearly fights for everyone, regardless of who you love, where you're born, the color of your skin, what God you worship. I think the Conservative Party can be that force to bring Canadians together.
Right. You've already said you wouldn't run for office for a Conservative Party led by Pierre Poilievre, and I guess so you've clearly sort of got a line in the sand about what you're prepared to accept from whatever comes from the leadership race if you're not the leader. What's the key question then that you think members need to ask themselves before they mark that ranked ballot later this summer?
Well, I think the key question is electability. And to win the next election, we're going to need to win where the party has lost. We won the popular vote, but we lost in suburban Canada, in places like Vancouver and the Greater Toronto area. And the question is going to be is who can steal Liberal or NDP votes? And there was a poll that came out just this week that showed that Jean Charest and myself were the most popular amongst Liberal and NDP voters. And Pierre Poilievre sort of wore that as a badge of honor. And I found that confusing, because he should realize that if you want to win, you do need to win over some votes from the Liberals and the NDP. That's the only path to win in the next election. The same voting universe that we had in the last election fell short. So we do need to grow the reach of the party, and that's what my campaign is about.
All right, Patrick Brown, good to talk to you. Good to see you again. And as I have done with all the candidates, I wish you the best of luck, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much.